Hey guys, Poro here with another video, this time for my 5th team breakdown for MSI 2025. And everyone, I have big news. For the first time, ever, in the history of my whole life, my favorite league team actually won something. 2022-23 OMG, 2021 LNG, 2019 and 2020 Africa, 2018 Rogue Warriors, they all let me down. None of them were able to make it to the promised land. None of them, despite my hopes and dreams, could even get to an international tournament. Until now, AL is the LPL 1 seed. My life is complete. It's my own fault, really. I keep putting my faith in teams that are doomed to fail. I love me some ragtag rosters and players who perform better than expected, but they always get crushed in the end by the big names. Not this time. Now I actually get to gush about a team I put my heart and soul into for one of my videos, and I couldn't be happier. Anyone's Legend is a team that I've loosely been cheering on for the past couple years. I liked their silly logo, and they had one miracle split in 2022 where they started 7-4, only to end on a 5-loss streak and miss out on playoffs. Tabe ended up joining the roster in 2024, and they instantly got significantly better, making it all the way to 5th place, with a roster that honestly had no business being there. Coming into 2025, AL made only 2 roster changes, and it seemed like they would yet again be contesting for a roughly 4th-5th place spot, but then they went on an insane run in Demacia Cup, winning the entire tournament and setting up a huge amount of potential heading into winter. Look at the roster here. This does not look like the type of roster who you would expect to win an LPL, at least from a Western perspective. Let's think about for a moment what this team looks like to your average Western viewer who only tunes into Eastern teams for international tournaments. You have Flandre, who was perceived as by far the weakest member on the 2021 EDG roster, Tarzan, who has had a terrible international reputation since his generational choke job at Worlds 2023 with LNG, Shanks, who people have probably never heard of, Hope, who was viewed as the weak spot of the 2022 JDG lineup, and Kyle, who is a middle-of-the-pack LCK support. For true ball knowers though, this roster is kinda fire. While Flandre is perceived as a weak player by the West for some reason, he's heavily revered and respected in the LPL as a world champion who's been around since the dawn of time. Tarzan may not have shown up at Worlds, but he's been the best jungler in the region domestically in multiple splits in the past few years. Shanks was stuck on multiple mediocre WE rosters, but was always the bright spot for the team and had some extremely impressive games. Hope is a former Worlds semi-finalist who has remained stable in all these years. And Kyle may have been stuck on below-average LCK teams, but the people have been similarly singing his praises and claiming that he should get a chance on a bigger roster. Now, to be fair, I don't think the expectation for this roster was first, even by superfans. I optimistically put them second in my preseason power rankings, and that was honestly me huffing a little bit of copium. Realistically, it would have been a decent finish for them if they placed 3rd or 4th. That said, the reason why I, and some other people, had so much faith in them was because of their coach Tabe. In my humble opinion, Tabe is the greatest League of Legends coach of all time. At a surface level glance, it might not be super obvious. He has 2 MSI titles, 1 MSI runner-up, 3 domestic titles, and a Worlds quarterfinals plus Worlds semifinals. Nothing too impressive, especially compared to some other winning coaches such as Kim and Keikoma. Tabe's true impressiveness comes when you look at the condition of the teams before he joined compared to just one short split after. When he joined RNG, they were a 9th, 10th place team, barely squeaking into playoffs, still recovering from the loss of Uzi. In just 1 year, he turned them into domestic superstars who won it all and then won back-to-back MSIs. He then joined BLG, who while having just placed 5th, were also a fringe playoffs 9th, 10th place team historically. In just one singular split, he turned them into the LPL powerhouses they are known for today, having only pristine results and turning the team into Worlds title contenders. That's when he joined AL, a team who was dead last for the longest time, and recently missed playoffs coming in 11th place. In just 2 splits, Tabe has turned them into champions. What makes it even more impressive is the players he does it with. It's not like he's joining a team and buying superstars to come with him. When Tabe joined RNG, he only kept 2 players, but his replacements were Cryan and Wei from an 8th place team, and an unproven young Gala. When he joined BLG, he changed none of the players, 5 for 5, getting them a title anyway. And when he joined AL, he took them from 11th to 5th in one split, with a singular roster change, bringing in Ale for Harry, followed by only 2 roster changes by swapping Ale for Flandre and Krakow for Tarzan. And that's all he needed to once again turn his ragtag failing rosters into perennial winners. As a Tabe superfan, I've watched plenty of media on him, including interviews, and it seems like his coaching philosophy is twofold. First and foremost, earn the respect of every player on his team. Convince them that he's smart enough and skilled enough to be trusted fully. Once that's done, his second step is to cook the fuck out of every single draft the team has. Tabe is, in my opinion, one of the only cases in League history where the impact of a team's improved drafting can be felt through a coach's sheer force of will. And AL is no different. In my opinion, AL and Tabe are by far the best drafting team in the world right now. Their prep for every series is insane, and all of their players have deep enough champion pools to make it work. Now that I'm done ranting about the coach, let's take a look at the players. FFXIV has been around the Chinese League scene since 2013. He didn't play his first LPL split until 2015, but he's essentially been around this entire time. In the West, he often carries a reputation for being a bit of an inter and not an elite level talent. However, this is pretty baseless in my opinion, and there are plenty of reasons to put respect on his name. First and foremost is his champion pool. With vast experience comes lots of time and lots of metas, and FFXIV has quite an impressive set of champions he can pull out, some meta and some not. Regardless of what you need him to do, he can do it. He can play all of the weak side tanks, he can play all of the fighter bruisers, and he's even got a few carries under his belt he can pull out. AL, in my opinion, is the best Yorick team in the world, for example, as they have a clear grasp of how they want to draft around it, and FFXIV is more than good enough at Yorick to make it work. While it's definitely true that FFXIV can have an occasional questionable int from time to time, he's a reliable asset that I think every LPL team would be happy to pick up. At this point, the only players remaining from the old LPL days are the legendary multiple-time champions, and there's a reason why FFXIV is one of them. AL's best player is Tarzan, who's one of the great junglers of all time. Until just last week, there was a strong argument to be made that Tarzan was the greatest player in the history of the game to have won absolutely nothing. That's no longer a possibility though, as Tarzan finally achieved his first title on a perfectly stellar 9-0 Zed jungle performance. I'm telling you, I have never in my entire life seen a Zed play like that, and that includes Faker.
让他过不来，而且先锋没被硬重置，这样先锋要被接盘了。维鲁斯给大招，落一个闪现开，蛇女反着大招，大招的角度不错，但维鲁斯大招扮演的非常好，下一个大招被打出来了，蛇女先被接住了，阿明交出一个闪现，传送机长被啃死了，下一个倒钩直接勾死了贾克斯，下一个大招也被打断，加上一个同学下线再一个吸，打不过呀，只是要给出一个人，接到那个杀吗？要五杀了吗？维鲁斯，
对，反手 AOE。
一闪，但是没用，咱伤害差不多。
对，
因为现在中上都倒了，靠下野三兄弟根本处理不了这个残局。我
看他这边很好，右交易收割之后收获到2个，这条一屁股落地，差一点点把他扶到起，
但起来了，这是很伤害呀，他甚至没有也不行了，先惩戒了，老三直接惩完，正面闪现传送可以收购，把3个人给拉满了。 香格斯拉扯一下，卡尔闪现过来给一个及时救难，香格斯会死，落魅惑到了进场的弗兰朵，第一时间必要跟随着往后撤，是一个二闪魅惑到了泡沫，但是蛇女自己死了，闪电晕，再杀一个他的技能吧，想看他大招没好，他让过去消耗了一套塔，再换位过来一个单杀了，单掐了，他往左边走，卡尔还可以救他。 在空中做起，阿兵被通过不停的变，阿兵变大，大兵甚至还拍空了正面香格斯扛住了成吨的伤害。他在正面大招躲过了这个盛大登场，他自己，他才是真正的盛大登场。发现有大招，还把他救回来，已经来劲的尾，甚至导播还切错了镜头。看这个节，先挑影子，然后大招躲台，跟过去，影分身，打回来。 闪现一，及时救难，落地一，再同时，电马塔扑出来自己的大招，两头麦塔也已经要倒在地上，两头麦塔同时倒地，加料的正面超涨伤害，拆甲就已经要赢了。恭喜！
And if you're sitting there thinking, wow, Zed jungle, that's a bit out of left field, then you've nailed Tarzan to a T. This guy can play literally everything. Regardless of the meta, regardless of whether he needs to be the carry or the dog, he can do it at an elite level. That's what makes Tarzan such a legendary player, and it's long overdue that he got his first title. For many of you, this is probably your first time hearing of Shanks. He was stuck on multiple mediocre WE rosters for a while, and never attended a single international. I've always been super high on Shanks though, and even went as far as to rank him as the 3rd best LPL mid laner in spring of 2023. Now, this isn't to say that he's been a top 3 LPL mid laner all this time, because he definitely has not been. My main point is that I've always felt like the potential was there, and I'm very excited to see how he turns out for his first international. If I had to describe Shanks in 2 words to someone who has never seen him play before, I would say he's a battle mage specialist. This isn't that normal of a role to have. More commonly, we'll see control mage specialists, utility mage specialists, or melee mid specialists. Shanks specifically thrives when he has access to consistent damage on champions who love scrapping it out, and he's always been a player who's willing to slam Ryze or Cassiopeia, even in metas where neither are strong. Speaking of which, this is a great meta for Shanks. While not as common in other regions, the existence of Shanks in Doomby has turned Ryze into a top priority mid laner in the LPL. Pair this with champions like Talia, Aurora, Annie, and Azir, and you've got Shanks right in his comfort zone. People might remember Hope for being on the JDG 2022 roster that was a contender to win Worlds that year. Since then, he was booted to middle-of-the-pack rosters, where he was viewed as a top-half LPL ADC who also had an affinity for utility champions. And while it's true that he's still great on champions like Ashe, Ziggs, and Varus, he's also someone who's still willing to pick the same hypercarries that dominated that 2022 season, particularly Jinx and most recently Sivir. Hope also has one other talent that sets him apart from other ADC players, and that's that he's the GOAT of sidestepping. He's an absolute movement demon who will play as if he can dodge anything, and then usually is successful. Most of his best highlights feature clean sidesteps or movement predictions, and it's uncanny how frequently this occurs. It makes him a super fun player to watch who can whip out the unexpected champions and then aura farm against your entire team. Finally, we have Kael, who's quietly building his resume for best support in the world. His reputation isn't amazing, as he went from mid-tier Live Sandbox to mid-tier Anyone's Legend, but this guy definitely has the stuff. I hereby apologize to that one commenter from 2022 who told me Kael would be special and I said no. I was in fact incorrect. Much like everyone else on his team, Kael can play everything at an elite level. So far in these breakdowns, I've been harping on a lot of the supports for not being as flexible as they need to be for the meta. Lots of engaged support specialists seem to be roaming around these days, and I think it hurts the teams in draft since they have to drop prio in the lane dominant duos. When I say that it's an advantage to be able to pick all styles, Kael is the support who fits this criteria more than any other. Look at his champion pool for literally only LPL playoffs. The other supports at this tournament have maybe 8 or 9 champions at best, and are mediocre on around half of them. Kael has played 16 different champions, and I'm absolutely confident that he can pull out any of those 16 again. This is what I'm talking about when I say the meta is so flexible if your bot lane is just willing to go for the right lanes. We've got Ashe Seraphine, Lucian Milio, Kalista Renata, Ezreal Karma, Nico lanes, Bard lanes, Braum lanes, and every engage option. It's really just beautiful to see. I promise you, there is no other support in the entire world right now who can be plugged into any and every meta draft effectively, and that's why I think Kael is so good. So here we are, back at the full team. If you take away nothing else from this video, I hope you take away this one thing. Every single player on AL has a champion ocean, and every champion can be piloted to at least a playable degree. This alone gives AL a significantly higher skill floor than any other team at this tournament. The players themselves may not all be the best in their roles individually, but it doesn't matter when the team as a unit can do so much. With Tabe at the helm, AL win almost every single one of their drafts, and they then execute almost every single one of those drafts with high precision. I truly believe Tabe is the special piece that makes this whole team go. JDG has a similar lineup of players in the sense that they all have champion oceans that they could take advantage of, but JDG underperformed in both winter and spring because their team couldn't actually leverage that huge ocean to win drafts consistently. Tabe is a coach who knows how to use his players' strengths to bring out a team's full potential, and that's why they won LPL so convincingly despite the perceived ragtag team of middle-of-the-pack misfits. I think AL have a shot at winning this whole tournament. I really wouldn't bet on it, and I could definitely see AL losing to both LCK representatives as well as BLG. At the end of the day, their players may just not be good enough to rise above the monstrous ceilings of the other teams, and their overall skill just isn't anywhere near a team like Gen G. But AL have a huge advantage in prep, and they also have the underrated huge advantage of a better playoffs format. I think Gen G is the best team in the world right now, and nothing will change my mind on that. However, Gen G only got to play a single best of 5 to qualify. AL played 4 and BLG played 5. This is valuable experience that the LCK teams just won't get, and it might end up coming to haunt them when the going gets tough. I expect AL to finish somewhere in the 2nd to 3rd range, but those damn pandas make me want to believe they can take it all. I've got nothing else for you. 5 breakdowns to go. I'll see you all next time. Bye!